So Axie are expanding their crypto offering. So to cover off all of that, cover off some of the jargon that we all think we know but we don't really know, and to basically get a full run of what Axie are doing in this crypto space, today I'm joined by Stuart Cooke. Now he is head of new business. Morning, Stuart.
Morning.
So let's go through some of the key points. Throughout this, we're basically just going to chat about cryptos, a bit why Axie are doing it, and you know what's the point of it all, and because I think you've been around a long time, I've been around in these markets a long time. Not to say that either of us are old, but I think there's a lot of gaps with people when it comes to crypto as to what they know and what they don't know, and what we think we know and what we pretend we know, and things like that. So we'll try and cover it all off within some of those points. So I think the key thing to start off with. Now, Axie have already offered some form of cryptos before, but now they're expanding. Now, we know it's a volatile, noisy world, the crypto world. So why is it now that Axie are deciding to move it on and expand this offering?
Well, I think cryptos is now firmly part of the trading landscape for most investors. And we see people come to us and come to other financial services companies that want the same reliability and experience that they get with the FX and CFD industry. In fact, we spoke to our clients and we estimate that upwards of 30% of our clients are actively trading in crypto products and spot cryptos, perps, that sort of thing. And they're doing it outside the Axie ecosystem. And we want to bring that experience within Axie. We want to provide clients with the experience and security that a company like Axie can provide to our clients.
Yeah, and of course, I think when we look at crypto in general, it's very, and we'll come to a lot of this later, but it's very hard to see. You have so many different options when it comes to trading crypto. So trying to understand which ones are right and which ones are wrong, I suppose, or which ones are right and wrong for us to trade on are the bits that we all find a little bit harder. But this expansion kind of just gives a lot more options, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, it's not our job as a company to convince a client to invest in any one form of investment vehicle, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So, our objective is to provide clients with the investment instrument that they want to invest in that they know. So if they're familiar with perps, we want to give them perps. If they're familiar with CFDs, we give them CFDs. If they want, a lower risk crypto product like a spot product, we want to give them that product in an environment that they're familiar with and they're comfortable with.
Yeah. I mean, it all makes sense. And I think one of the key points that I think makes this an interesting time is that Axie are obviously a huge company, a huge name within the FX CFD industry. So they have that reputation. Now, we all know that in the crypto world, I think the nicest way to say this is not all companies have that same reputation. So I suppose what's the key thing from Axie's perspective that gives client that edge, if you like, when it comes to trading and expanding this whole offering?
I guess it comes down to the fact that we're not a new player to any kind of trading environment. So we've been around for 18 years, we've got a regulatory background, and a lot of our infrastructure in our traditional investment vehicles revolve around stability, security, price action, speed of execution, and all these things are fundamental to offering a crypto service. So it seems like a natural progression for us to take the technology that we've built over that period of time and that infrastructure that we built over that period of time and apply it to an emerging market like cryptos. Yeah,
and I suppose one of the key things when you're a client, you're looking at trading crypto is not having to. We know that clients have accounts all over the place. There's not just one account. If you're a trader, an active trader, you tend to have an account in multiple different places. Now, obviously, the reputational side of that is a key one, and I suppose if you can put all of those assets in the same place but have diversification along the product suite, makes a big difference for clients, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I said, Axie is a known entity. We've been around for a long time. We've got a face, we've got regulatory experience and background. And I hope what we bring is we take away that risk element of the wild west when it comes to cryptos, because we're a known entity and we do things in a regulated fashion.
So I think the key point is with crypto, it's one of those subjects where we all kind of pretend we know what's going on, where actually it's one of those things where you end up talking with someone about cryptos, and someone who's been investing in cryptos for ages, they start throwing terms at you, and you kind of just smile blankly and nod and go, yeah, and agree, and then go home and Google it later, basically. I mean, I've been in the markets for 23 years, and I still do that quite a lot of the time. So one of the worst trading mistakes we can all do is pretending we know what's going on when actually we haven't really got a clue. So the key thing about crypto is it's full of jargon. There are different words for different things. Some of the words don't even mean anything, and they've been made up just for the meme world of what cryptos are. So in that fashion, what we're going to do is talk just a couple of the key points, break down some of the jargon, which is, hopefully going to help us all understand a little bit more. So the first one we're going to look at is blockchain. So we all hear about blockchain. Probably the three most common things we hear about are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and blockchain. So let's tackle blockchain. What is the blockchain?
Okay, so it's essentially a notebook or diary that anybody can read. So it's in the public domain, but the advantage of it is that it's completely uneditable. So once something goes down, it stays down. So it's a trusted source of information.
Perfect. So number 2 is wallet. Now, the world of wallet, for me, a wallet used to be my dad's wallet that he had in his back pocket. Now, wallets mean completely different things. You've got wallets on your phone. You've also got crypto wallets. So what is a crypto wallet?
So you kind of think of it as a backpack or a digital backpack, essentially, where you store your tokens or your coins. The actual asset isn't held in your backpack because that's on the blockchain, but it will store your passwords and your keys that let you access and use the tokens that you've got. So that's why the phrase, if you lose your keys, you lose your coins comes from, because once you've lost them, the record of your ownership disappears.
Yeah, and these wallets have really distinct ways of accessing them. Some of them, don't they? Because you have about 100 different words, 20 different words that you have to put in for some of these passwords, which make these a little bit more. I've known people that have had metal cards with these words lasered into them and then put in safes and things like that. So some of them are very difficult to. Once you lose these words, you can't go back into them, right?
Exactly. You couldn't run an AI algorithm to crack it, for example. So once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, it's why people rummage around dumps trying to find their old PCs.
Yeah. Exactly that. Okay, so there's 3 different terms when it comes to what you're going to trade when you're trading with Axie. You've got, and these are all around crypto.
Yep.
Now, these also, the confusing part about this is they also come into different areas. So some of these terms are viable when you talk about Forex or when you talk about other assets. So just want to cut down the main difference in 3 of them. So you've got, with Axie, you've got spot crypto, you've got CFDs within crypto, and then you've got perps.
Yes.
So there's 3 key ones there. I suppose let's start with perps. What does perp mean? If we're hearing that term bandied around a lot. What's perps, and then what's the difference between the 3?
Okay. Actually, can I start with spot? Sorry.
You can start whatever you like.
So spot's probably the easiest one to do because it's a straightforward one-to-one purchase of an asset. So you're paying the full value of the contract and taking ownership of it, essentially. A perp and a CFD are both derivatives or variations of a spot product. They're very, very similar. They're leveraged products. You don't have ownership of the asset, which ultimately means that the benefit of the product to you is the change in price. Mm-hmm. Because they're leveraged, they're a little bit risky, or they're highly risky, but highly flexible.
Yeah.
The difference essentially between a perp and a CFD is that a perp is exchange traded on crypto exchanges and therefore a little bit more transparent. But the key advantage, in my opinion, is that they're like the first layer of product after a spot. So invariably you get more coins offered as a perp than you would as a CFD, for example. And new coins that are released to market tend to come to the market quicker as a perp rather than a CFD. So there's a bit more flexibility in terms of the product offering.
Yeah, so I suppose from a perp perspective, because this is directly exchange traded, if that product's available, it's then available wherever it is. Whereas
Exactly.
a spot version has to go through the broker or whoever it is to then convert that, put that in, and then be part of the
Yeah,
product
so
suite.
exactly. So let's say a spot market or a coin on the spot market came to market on day one. You'd expect a perp to come maybe within 24, 48 hours,
Yeah.
and then a CFD maybe within a week or 2 weeks. And that's if it comes to market. So if there's not the liquidity or there's not the if there's not the demand to offer it as a CFD, it just won't happen. So if you look at Axie, for example, our spot product will be 200 plus coins, perps about 150, and CFDs around 50.
Yeah. So it's almost a perspective of you've got beginner, intermediate, and advanced, almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the likelihood is across these you're going to potentially be trading higher values when you go through each one.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd say because of the simplicity around the spot market, it's generally the first point of call for somebody that wants to invest in any kind of asset. And then you move away from that to a more leveraged product, which gives you a bit more flexibility around making money out of falling markets or rising markets and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So this one is HODL. Now, this one is one of the ones that we said at the start was just been made up by a fat finger, so I understand.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so we hear HODL banded around everywhere, and actually on a lot of advertising, HODL is used. So what does HODL mean?
So as you say, it was a typo to start with,
Yeah.
but ultimately it's sort of it's transformed into hold on for dear life message, which ultimately means, don't panic and sell, strap yourself in and play the long game.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So it basically means hold on to whatever you got.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And then the last one in this section is meme coins. Now, meme coins is a murky world, right?
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, even crypto purists don't necessarily like meme coins. I guess. They're coins that often have no real tangible underlying value. I guess they started as a joke, like Dogecoin and Pepe, for example, but they're now billion-dollar assets. So they're an interesting part of the market, but they're a fun part of the market, and intrinsically is what crypto has become about.
And it's interesting because only a very, very few of them become these big multi-billion-dollar assets, whereas the majority, almost 99% of them, have a jump and then they worth nothing within about an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all fad. It's fear of missing out. People are interested in these coins, see what they do in the first 24, 48, maybe week, but then lose interest and move on to another one.
Okay, so let's talk about why you should trade crypto, basically, because you can imagine the situation. There's a lot of people that have traded traditional assets before, FX, stocks, indices, whatever it may be. They're sitting there looking to trade. They've all of a sudden heard all of these bits of lingo that we're talking about, and understand half of them, don't understand the other half, but I've got a bit of money they want to trade on and want to get into crypto because everybody keeps telling you've got to have some crypto. Wherever you are, you've got to have some crypto in your portfolio. So I suppose the question is, why? Why do we need to have a bit of crypto?
I guess because they're now one of the fastest moving markets that are out there, and as traders, we look for opportunity, we look for trading opportunities, and there's nothing out there that's more rewarding than crypto in a financial sense, I guess. And if you look at the returns on things like Bitcoin and some of these other coins over the last sort of 2 years, 3 years, they outperform other assets that we might be interested in. So,
yeah, and I think we tend to be, especially within this industry, a lot of time we tend to look at risk as a bit of a dirty word, don't we? Risk tends to be something that you want to keep away from.
Yeah.
But actually, without risk, there is no upside to any of the trading that you're going to do. And what we talk about and what we want as traders is volatility, right? We want those markets to move. Markets don't move and flatline everywhere all the time. You don't make any money. You don't lose any money.
Yeah.
You don't make any money. So I suppose it's that volatility, right, which is, as traders, why we should be so excited about having these products available.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, risk is the game of any trader.
Yeah.
Cryptos are risky because they're so volatile and because...
But so's FX, right?
Exactly. And I think as the product matures and the volatility, and the volume and liquidity within the market expands, then it becomes a bit more fluid and more predictable, I guess. But yeah, it's a risky product.
And I suppose you even look at stocks. I mean, the amount of times over the years I've been trading stocks, and you've seen an earnings report come out, and markets go the complete opposite way to what you expect them to, even though the earnings are amazing. There's risk inherently in every single part of trading. So
absolutely,
you have to embrace it to be a successful trader, I suppose.
Yeah, and as long as you understand the risks and you've got the tools to mitigate against those risks, as most trading platforms do, then yeah.
And that's the key point, I suppose, that Axie is, because they have that history, because they have such a strong product set already, they have every single risk management tool you can ever think of. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, across all of our platforms, our own proprietary platform, MT4, MT5, there's a range of product or risk management tools that you can utilize. And then obviously the way that Axie operates as a company, fully regulated, 18 years experience, means that you can have confidence in our platforms and systems.
So all of these companies within the crypto market, they claim to be reliable. Everyone's going to claim you can't claim anything else. You can't claim to be unreliable and expect to get clients. So why I suppose when there's so many other companies out there saying they're reliable, why should people go and trade cryptos with Axie and believe their reliability?
I guess because of our track record, we've been around for 18 years. And yes, this is a new asset class and some of the technology is new, but a lot of it is very similar to previous technology that we would have built the whole company on. And it's that history of regulation, respectability, risk management, the infrastructure that we have around trading, price execution, all that sort of stuff. This is what investors want in cryptos. And just because we've been around just because our history comes from traditional markets doesn't mean they're not well equipped to offer crypto products as well.
Yeah, fair enough. So what about getting started? There's the misconception that you've got to, I suppose, around any part of trading, that you've got to remortgage your house to be able to do anything at all. But, I suppose that's just not the case.
No, not at all. So we've made the barriers to entry really low. You can buy a crypto position for as little as $50. So it's ideal for a beginner trader. But then also you've got the combined assets that we've translated from our FX and CFD business. So it's also suitable for professional traders as well.
Okay, so we've spoken about where this is expanding. What exactly did Axie have beforehand, and what are they going to have after this launch?
Okay, so historically, Axie had a pretty strong crypto CFD range. We covered between 40 and 45 coins and tokens. We recently added perpetual futures, or perps, and that's brought that range up to 100, 150 coins. The spot product that we're bringing out imminently will then increase that range to 200.
So massive amounts of choice, which is of course what every client wants. So if you're liking the sound of this, how do you what's the barrier to entry? How do you get started?
So it's really easy. So unlike other firms where you might have a platform for perps and a platform for spot and a platform for CFDs, this is all under one trading platform for us. You'll automatically be given access to that if you have access in your region as a separate wallet within your infrastructure. Within your account, and you can start trading from as little as $50. So it's really simple. So
in a massively competitive world, innovation has to be key for any broker. You can't just stand still. So what are the next steps in that and the roadmap for Axie?
So perps and spot give us the ability to have a more reactive product range. So we can launch new coins, we can launch new tokens a lot more quicker than we could do with CFDs. We're also looking at real-world asset tokenization, so things like stocks, and also on-chain settlement as well. But then also we're going to combine our crypto offering with our programs like Axie Select, so people can share trading strategies, improve their trading strategies, and also get funded and take their crypto trading to another level.
So I suppose everything here is a case of making Axie almost that one-stop shop for pretty much everything. If everything is under one roof, that makes life easy for a client, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And crypto is not necessarily new to Axie. I mean, prior to us launching perps and the spot product, Bitcoin would have been one of the top 2 to 3 symbols that we would have had seen traded on a monthly basis. So what we're trying to do is deliver the product that the client wants in a format that they want and in a user experience that they're familiar with. So we all understand that a CFD user experience is slightly different from a a perp user experience and a spot user experience. So it's about tailoring the user experience to what they're familiar with and what's suitable to the product they want to trade.
So there you go. Axie are expanding their product set in crypto. And even though crypto isn't a new thing, the continuous evolution from Axie here allows that product suite to just get bigger all the time. Spot, perps, and CFDs in crypto, and a barrier to entry which is incredibly low. You can start trading from as little as $50. So Stuart, we're going to have a quick fire round here. Just 4 terms, perps in 1 line.
High leverage, all access, great for speculation.
Hodling. Smart or reckless?
It ultimately depends on your risk appetite. But if you miss out on the daily noise, I think you're missing out on something to do with crypto.
Meme coins. Opportunities or absolute basket case?
Fun, risky, part of the crypto environment.
Be careful. Is I suppose
Be
one
careful.
there. And one word that just sums up Axie's crypto.
Confidence.
Sure. Thanks for your time. Hopefully we've got some of the jargon out there. People understand it a little bit more. And I think we're all looking forward to what Axie has got. So thanks very much.
Thank you, James.